Hello, so in this video I'm going to talk you through the structure of a primary school music lesson linked to the different ways of learning that occur in music. Now, it has been suggested that 60 minutes a week should be designated for music teaching. However, this can be a combination of elements such as a whole class lesson and singing assemblies. This could also be combined with regular continuous singing and daily listening activities. Now, for more information on this, you can check out my specific videos such as the one on daily listening. So, you have the time allocated for music teaching in your schedule now, but now comes the scary part of knowing what to do. For many non-specialists, this can be very daunting as you may not be confident yet in your own subject knowledge, and so the thought of letting a class of children loose on really noisy instruments can be quite anxiety-inducing. My suggestion is to not panic and treat music just like any other subject in your curriculum. You might not be a history specialist, but you still teach it. The same for PE or science. Most schools for music will have bought into a scheme or designed their own curriculum, and so many resources will already be in place, so you as a teacher will just have to deliver it. So, here's how you could approach it. The Ofsted report into music in 2021 suggested that progression in music could be conceptualised as 3 overlapping pillars: technical, constructive and expressive. Now, technical refers to the development of technique and knowledge through practice. Constructive refers to the knowledge of how musical knowledge fits together. And expressive relates to the ability to apply technical and constructive knowledge to give sound meaning. Quite confusing, but when you break it down, there are definitely different things going on there. So to go further, music is a practical subject, and as the review suggests, teachers should prioritise making music over just merely learning facts. To really unlock the power of music, children need to be supported to actively make music. And so as teachers, it is important to think about the different types of learning. The first type of learning is tacit knowledge. This is often acquired through enculturation, such as activities performed at home, and so it is the knowledge base that a child will bring to their learning, including their prior experiences. It is not actively taught, but you should bear it in mind and build upon it in your lessons. The second type of learning which is taught is declarative knowledge. This is the knowledge of facts, information or systems to do with the subject. For example, supporting children to understand the meaning of key vocabulary or to remember the names of famous composers. As teachers, you need to then decide what the children do with these facts so that they stay in their memory. The other type of knowledge is procedural knowledge. This is the development of automaticity over learning processes, which is gained through dedicated practice. Music especially requires regular practice of techniques in order for children to master them. It is not as simple as merely recalling a fact, but they need to have actually had the experience. So for example, practicing finger shapes on playing a chord on a ukulele. The children might know what they have to do and where they need to put the fingers, but it is very different to the type of knowledge of actually being able to do it on cue and at speed. So if you say play a C chord, some children with the decorative knowledge will go, I know where I'm putting my third finger. But those that have really practiced and built up their procedural knowledge, you say C chord and they go like that and they play it. So it's very different skills, and you need to make sure that you teach both of them in your music lesson. So practice time is so important. It is recommended that little and often practice and recall activities are much more beneficial for the development and reinforcement of learning. Hence the importance of continuous provision activities. Now, some schools attempt to block music teaching, where they might put a whole term's worth of work into one day or a week. And although this might give the time to produce good results in the moment, it will not support the development of long-term memory, and so the next time you come back to music, it will require a lot of recap because a lot of the skills and the knowledge will have been forgotten. Regular lessons, however, helps to transfer knowledge into the long-term memory, which will remain with the children forever as long as they keep practicing it. So, now you have heard how we teach music, it is noteworthy to explain the key objectives. Each school will have its own progression documents linked to the national curriculum. However, for me personally, I feel that music in primary school is based on 4 repeating objectives. The first one is to perform, and I break this down into 2 subsections. singing and playing instruments. So we are performing when we use our voice, and we are performing on our instruments, and our body percussion included in playing instruments. The second objective is to compose. So this is the act of writing one's own music. The third objective is to transcribe, so using different forms of notation to represent music. And then the fourth one is to appraise. So this is using decorative knowledge to describe the music and make links across different types of music. So these objectives are repeated within a single lesson and across a whole unit and across the whole progression from early years up to year 6. So it would be expected that a well-planned lesson will encompass all elements of the 4 objectives. So how do we fit them into a lesson? So for example, at the beginning of the lesson, you could use music as a stimulus, listen to it, describe it. Then we could attempt to play a version of it, so the children are using instruments. This will then develop to saying, well, how could we adapt this? How could we compose our own version? And so the children will make their own version, and they could then write this down, so transcribe using the age-appropriate notation. Now this structure, although small in one lesson, could then be generalised across a unit of lessons, irrespective of the thematic material. And so that structure makes sure that you are encompassing all of the elements that are needed to develop a well-rounded knowledge of music. So please do look at different lesson observations, look through different plans and see if they're doing performing, composing, transcribing and appraising. And I'm sure that you'll be pleasantly surprised that they are. So go back now, have a look at your lesson plans and see, am I doing that? How can I edit them? How can I make sure I'm giving the children the best deal so that they are practicing all of their musical skills and developing all of their types of knowledge?